Alrighty then, corn children. It is another fine lesson of mathematics. Today we are going to be looking at a concept called U-substitution. U-substitution, U just being a letter, although I'm going to be using a lowercase cursive U, so that's how I roll, so get used to that. This lesson is a lesson in living in denial, in Egypt, near denial. We're going to be asked to solve an equation. Sine of 3x equals 1/2. Here it is. But the thing is, this 3x is scary. We're scared. It's a fearful 3x. I don't know what to do. So we are going to pretend it isn't there. That's right. Pretend. We are going to let, and you don't have to write the word let, it's tradition. We are going to let U take the place of the 3x, thereby getting rid of the scary part. So here's what we have now. Now we have the sine of U is 1/2. Oh, that's so cute. That's like a happy equation. That's an equation we should know how to solve. What? Well, that would mean at what angle on the 1 unit circle is sine the y coordinate 1/2? We have memorized this. In radians, that would be pi over 6. Don't believe me? Consult your left hand. So one of our answers for you is pi over 6. There's a second value because there's a second height of 1/2 on the unit circle, and that is, of course, 5 pi over 6. And that's our pretend little answers. Now, there is a problem here. When we were given this problem, we were not told to solve this on 0 to 2 pi. We were just told to solve it. So any answer that lands us on these two locations, any angle, so if I go 2 whole pi plus 1/6 more, that would be an answer. If I go 4 pi plus 1/6 more, that would be an answer. And you, of course, remember we deal with this by taking these two answers and adding multiples of 2 pi, where n is an integer. Oh, that's that fancy notation for n is an integer. I know, right? Right? Ah, yeah. And we'd be done. In our happy little pretend world where everybody owns a pony, we're finished. Finito. But the problem is, we were pretending. The original equation didn't have the variable u, it had the variable x. Our answer doesn't discuss x at all. It's discussing the answers for u. Well, what do we do? Here's what we do. We have to put reality back in the problem. Our problem says u equals 3x. So everywhere we see this u, we have to put the reality back in. We have to put 3x back in. Oh, well, okay. That's not so bad. Same thing here. U becomes 3x. N is still an integer. And we have that. Well, we're supposed to solve. Solve for x. In both of these equations, as ugly as they are, we just need to get the x alone. Well, pretend that was something simple. Again, kind of pretend. That 3x, if we want to get the x alone, we would just divide everything by 3. Oh, well, that's an equation. We can do that. I divide this by 3. I'm going to divide this by 3. We're going to keep, change, flip here. We're going to divide this by 3. And in this equation, the same thing. Divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3. We clean this whole mess up. These cancel. Keep, change, flip. This is pi over 18 plus 2 pi over 3 n. We're going to be adding multiples of 2/3 of a pi. Yeah, I know, crazy. Over here, keep, change, flip, 5 pi over 18, adding multiples of 2/3 of a pi. As we let n roll through all the integers, we get all of our solutions. Yeah, that's how that's done, people. Now, what if it's not a trig example? I'm so glad you asked, because I have another example here for you. Okay, so U-substitution. We're asked to solve this equation. It has nothing to do with trigonometry. Whoo, like that. Oh, but look at it. I'm afraid. Be afraid. No, live in denial. Here's what we do. Clearly, we would start by analyzing this equation. There is a denominator. We would need to make sure we never divide by 0. So we would need to eliminate the values of 1 and -1. If you don't trust me here, pause the video and try filling in 1 for x and see what you get. You get division by 0. And try filling in -1. Same thing. So before I begin, I'm just going to jot down that we know x cannot be 1 or -1. It causes division by 0. Now, there's the scary part. The scary part of the problem is the square root of x squared plus 1. I'm sorry, x squared minus 1. It not only shows up here, it shows up over there. It's twice as terrifying. So let's just pretend it isn't in there. Again, if you want to be polite, use the word let. We're announcing here a variable change. So we're just going to take that out of the problem. We're pretending there isn't a square root of x squared minus 1 right here. Now it's a u. We're pretending it's gone here. It's a u equals 6. Aw, look how cute that equation is. Aw, we can solve that. Now some of you are still afraid because there's a fraction. Be not afraid. This is an equation. It's a teeter-totter. If I do something to one side, I do it to the other side. So I'm going to multiply by a chubby little fat kid of u on the left, and I need to multiply by a chubby little fat kid of u on the right. On the left, distribute. The u's here cancel. Here we get u squared. Here we get 6u. Look, Ma, no fractions. It's quadratic. Let's solve. I'm going to set it equal to 0. I do not like my quadratic term to be negative, so I'm going to move everything to the right side of the problem. This will become positive u squared, positive 6u minus 7. You can use the quadratic formula. I'm gonna factor. Double check that if you need to, but there's your solution. We set those equal to 0, and we get -7 and 1. And in our pretend fake-o happy world, we're done. Small problem. That was pretend world. The real world is, look back up here, the variable of x. We need to put reality back in. So I'm going to replace these u's down here at the bottom. I'm going to replace these u's with the square root of x squared minus 1. And now we have to solve these. Well, okay, good news and bad news. Good news, this first equation doesn't have any answers. What? How do you know? This is an understood positive square root. If you put a number in here and then you do the math, you would take only the positive square root. Think about the square root graph. We're looking at only the positive side of the square root. This is a negative number. You don't get any answers out of this. Try all day, but this will not get you any solutions. So I'm going to eliminate that one. Over here, though, we have a positive equals a positive. It may have answers. To undo a square root, I will square both sides. Aw, it's a 1. You're welcome. I'm now going to add 1 to the other side. Oh, add 1 to the other side. I now take the square root of both sides, including the plus or minus. And those, ladies and gentlemen, are your solutions. Enjoy that.